do you know have you heard of the Muppets? And they used to have like a little person singing. Do 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 do.
PechaKucha.
Do 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 do.
PechaKucha.
Do 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 do. Help them out.
PechaKucha is a Japanese word for chit-chat and is the name of a presentation format created in Japan in 2003 by Astrid Klein and Mark Dytham, two architects looking for a way people could share their work quickly and simply in public. Since then, the idea has spread to over 700 cities around the world. At every PechaKucha night, creative thinkers come together and share their ideas with only 20 images shown for 20 seconds each. PechaKucha, a fast, fun format. Find a location, join the conversation.
Thanks, Laura. Brian McDonald, show me the bacon. There's the bacon. I'm going to talk to you about bacon tonight. It's almost universally loved. Even vegetarians love bacon because they have non-bacon bacon, right? Everyone loves this salty meat. So I'm not really talking about this bacon. I'm talking about a different kind of bacon. Any guesses as to what that would be? There we go. There's Kevin Bacon. So what I want to talk to you about is Kevin Bacon, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. How many of you are familiar with that game? Yes? Right? It goes that you can connect any movie back to Kevin Bacon by saying, this actor was in this movie with this actor who was in this movie with this actor who was in this movie with Kevin Bacon. Now, Kevin Bacon, of course, wasn't the start of 6 Degrees of Separation. It actually started in 1929. It came from a short story that started this concept of 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. And then in 1990, it was popularized by a play. And that's really kind of when it came into our popular lexicon. Now, when it comes to 6 Degrees of Separation, you might think of it in terms of social media. And Facebook actually did some research into how much we're separated, and they found that, on average, we're connected to every other person by about 3.5 people. So it's kind of interesting that everyone on that social network on Facebook is that connected. And so that kind of got me thinking. If Facebook's so small, and of course we always hear that our field is so small, maybe I should do a little bit of an experiment about it. And so the experiment that I did was I wanted to find out how small our field was. And so I chose someone, I needed a Kevin Bacon, right? And the Kevin Bacon that I chose was actually Esther Lloyd Jones. How many of you are familiar with Esther Lloyd Jones? Yeah? She was a signatory on the 1937 Student Personnel Point of View, really what started student affairs and the idea of holism in the United States. She was also a former president of ACPA. And so that's how I chose Esther as the start of this project. I wanted to see how we could connect ourselves all the way back to her. So what I did was I put out a call over social media to see how my friends would be able to connect this. I had talked with my advisor and said, do you know Esther Lloyd Jones? How are you connected? And she said, yeah, actually, I'm connected to her because my dissertation advisor had another dissertation advisor who was Esther Lloyd Jones. And so I put out this call on social media and did really a crowdsourcing project. I had a Google Doc and said, help me fill this in. Help me find out how we're all connected. And it was through this Google Doc that we were able to track how far we are separated from Esther Lloyd Jones. And a lot of surprising things came about as I did this. Things I never anticipated would happen. And so when I started to do this, friends would say, hey, actually, I know someone who worked with Esther Lloyd Jones, and perhaps you can find out how they're all connected. And so what I found out was, actually, that people from different parts of my life were connected in ways that I never anticipated. So for instance, I actually worked at Miami University in Ohio with Laura Pasquini, but I also worked in Ohio with Denny Roberts, former president of ACPA. He knew Esther Lloyd Jones personally, and also worked in Qatar with the person who I did my Kukuai internship with in Alaska, Katie Wildman. So you see all these strange connections started to surface as we did this. And what was really neat about it was I started to discover things that I never knew that would happen. So here's an example of the database right here. And you can see all the different connections back to Esther Lloyd Jones, right? Esther Lloyd Jones, there's the relationship, there's the person, there's the relationship. So you could actually go on here and check out and see how you're connected to Esther Lloyd Jones. Here's the people that I'm connected to that connect back to her. All people from different parts of my life, as I mentioned. Now, there's a lot of surprising things and a few things that I learned over the course of this process. And one of the biggest things that I learned is you never know where connections will come from, right? I've made so many connections through ACPA, and it's really been through the strength of my network that I think I've been successful in student affairs as a whole. Other things I took away from this is, it's really surprising to me exactly how small our field is. It's smaller than many people would think. And I don't say that as a means of fear, but I say that as something where you can see how we've reached back generationally from some of the founding members of this discipline, right? We've reached fourth generation student affairs. If you track back to Esther Lloyd Jones, most of our graduate students and new professionals would be considered the great-grandchildren of Esther Lloyd Jones. We're a young field as a whole, right? We're young. We're only about 100 years in existence. And if you look around the world, there's other places where the idea of student affairs and student holism are even younger. So we still have a lot of ways to go, and we're connected back to our forefathers and foremothers in ways that you'd never anticipate. The field is small, and social media is making it smaller. One of the things I discovered is I'm connected with so many people on social media. I come to conferences like this, and people say hi, and I can't remember if I've met them in person or I met them online or what context it was, but we're all connected, and social media is really making our worlds smaller in different ways. As part of this project I did online, I found out how there's tremendous power when we all come together. So when you crowdsource efforts, it's amazing what you can accomplish. And I think we're just scratching the surface in student affairs as to what we can do if we were to crowdsource our efforts in this area. In addition to the power, it's all those connections that surprise you and delight you, right? The people that you never knew were connected. What do we do when we meet people in this field? Oh, I used to work here. Oh, do you know this person? Do you know this person? We always try to make connections to other people that we've worked with in the past. And those things are surprising. They're fun. They're interesting to find out about. And finally, one of the biggest things I learned is that we all come from this single powerful idea. That even in an international location where we're working a lot with our Canadian colleagues or collaborating with the folks in the Tertiary Level Personnel Association in the Caribbean, we all seem to share a common ideal. And that's pretty cool that we all come together despite our differences and realize that we have a lot in common in the approach that we have. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you today about Bacon, and specifically how I think your professional network is powered by Bacon, because I believe it's the connections that we have with each other that actually make us who we are as a profession. Now, if you want to participate in this, the project is still online. So if you want to see how you connect back to other people in Esther Lloyd Jones, you can go to this website, 6degreessa.com, and it will redirect you to that site, and you can participate too. That's 20 slides, and I'm done. Thank you, everyone.